Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to make this simple concrete effect side table using these 3 items from IKEA and some paint. First we use this £10 plastic pot and then 2 of the RÖDEBY armrests. You only need 1 full armrest and then a little bit of the other one, but definitely keep the spare slats as I've used mine for another half. The first step is to glue your armrest. I use wood glue, I use Gorilla Glue, and then I use no nails because I ran out. The mistake I made was gluing the whole of the armrest. You'll see why later on in the video, but you don't need to do this. You just need to glue 2/3 of the way up. Then the next step is you attach your first armrest, and you can see here why you don't need to glue it all the way up. This bit was a bit fiddly, but once you get the hang of it, it's fine. And then you need to measure out your second armrest. If you're doing this hack exactly the same as me, using the same sized pot and the same RÖDEBYs, then you just need to cut yourself 7 slats. I used a Stanley knife to do this and it was really, really easy. Then, as you can see, I learnt from my mistake and I only glued 2/3 of the panel for this one, and you attach your second slat onto your pot. I clipped mine into place to keep it all in line, and I just used some fold back clips that I had in the office. This just means that the whole of it stays in line because it can move, and again, this step's quite fiddly. Then decided to cable tie it all together, again just to keep it much more secure and to keep it tight. You then need to leave it to dry, and then once it's dry you can take off your clips, and this is when you glue on the lid on top. Again, I've just used the no nails glue here. This is the Lazy Susan, and again I'll link this below. And then I popped a heavy object on top just to keep it secure whilst it dried. So I used 2 coats of the Rust-Oleum stone paint, and I'll link it below. Just a warning, this paint is quite messy to use and it does seem to go everywhere. The plan was to just paint using this paint, but I didn't get the effect I wanted. But it's fine because it actually worked out much, much better. And if I was to do this again, I would do it this way around again. Then to create the concrete effect, this is the step-by-step process. First step is paint the whole thing in a light grey paint. I decided to use our Lick Taupe paint number 1 here, and it gave a really nice finish. You could just leave it here, but obviously that just creates a nice stone effect side table and not the concrete look that I was going for. Then to create the concrete effect, I cut a sponge in half and I used a darker grey paint and covered the side table with a dabbing motion to create little clouds all the way around it. As you can see here, I'm just repeatedly going around the side table and dabbing it all the way around in these cloud type motions. The next stage, once this is still wet, so you need this to still be wet, then the next stage is to get some white paint, and I just used an acrylic paint here, and with a new sponge, again, dab it on like little clouds. What I would say is a little bit goes a long way here. Once this was still again quite tacky, I then decided I didn't really like the cloud effect fully, and I kind of brushed the cloud, so I did like a cloud and a brush effect as I went. So as you can see here, I dab it on and then I'll make some lines and some brushes on it as well. And again, I repeated this process the whole way around, and I just kept building this up to get the colour that I like. So it was a combination of brushing and swiping to create the concrete look. You can see here that this process did take quite a while, and that's because I kept building and building to create the effect that I wanted to. I used a primer undercoat for the darker grey. I wouldn't suggest using that because it kept bleeding through, which is why I kept having to add more and more white to it. So I would use a normal grey emulsion paint for this part of the process. Part of the video that I haven't included, mainly because I forgot to record it, was I added a tea bag as well, like a wet tea bag to the to this look as well, again just to give that concrete antique effect to it. You might be able to see on this video that some parts of the grey have bled through into the panel gaps, so I've just used a small paintbrush to go through these gaps to make sure that you couldn't see the bits that had bled through. And then I left it dry overnight, and that was it, then it was ready. So the total cost of all of this was £42, not including the paint. I absolutely love this side table, and I would definitely suggest giving it a go. The only part of it that took a while was the concrete effect, and that was because I kept wanting to build it up and build it up and build it up to make sure it looked perfect, but it is a really forgiving effect. So if you go wrong, you can just add to it and recover it. So it's a really easy, forgiving effect to create. I'll pop the links to all of the products that I bought in the caption, and I'll also pop a step-by-step process in there too. I love creating these DIYs for you, so please comment on here if you'd like to see more, and any questions, and I will do my best to answer them. And if you don't already know, I'm over on Instagram and TikTok daily. Check me out on Our Home Style, and I'll pop the link to my social media. Thank you as always for watching. I really appreciate your support.